basically, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Dave. I'm the con medic. I'm also a real paramedic in real life. So I work for the city of Toronto. And it's
Ooh, Toronto.
Coming to join us?
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you.
Out of money. There you go.
Thanks for a good time, man.
That's extra funny for other reasons.
So yeah, I'm a paramedic in the city of Toronto. As far as my background is concerned in terms of anime, when I was a really little kid, my aunt used to take me to Toronto Trek. And started growing out of that a little bit, and then I started getting scared of it a little bit because I had a lot of friends in school. I would go and be all excited and tell them about it, and they would make fun of me. And I was like 8 or 9 years old, and when you're in that stage and you're starting to go into high school and stuff like that, yeah. So I wanted to be one of the cool kids, started taking up a lot of sports, played baseball, played football, stuff like that. And I stopped going to conventions, completely broke away from the whole scene entirely. I didn't want anything to do. I still watched Star Trek and stuff like that, but didn't talk about it. And my lovely fiance one day, then girlfriend, decided, like, she started taking up cosplaying, started getting really into it, and wanted me to come, and I adamantly refused, just because of my previous experiences, and it just had it in my psyche. I don't want to go to cons. Cons aren't cool. I won't have fun at them, etc., etc. And so I didn't bother to go. I kept refusing and refusing and refusing and refusing and refusing. And she kept making costumes. She went to AN. She went to Fan Expo. She kept wanting me to go. She wanted me to be a part of it. And I kept saying no. And eventually it started to become a little bit of a thing. She's like, well, you never do anything with me. I'm like, well, I do things with you. I just don't want to go to the cons. I have no interest. And she goes, why? Why don't you want to go to the conventions? And I'm just like, I don't know. I couldn't really answer her, right? Like, I don't really want to go. It's not a matter of not being cool. I mean, there was enough people going to these conventions. I knew they were popular enough. Just didn't have any interest. It just wasn't for me. And so she pushed and pushed and pushed, and I found what it was doing was it was pushing me further away from the concept. The more she asked, the more I refused. And eventually she's like, well, would you at least sit down and watch something with me? I'm like, all right, fine. Like, I like cartoons. Why not? I'll watch something. So she picked something quite mild. She wasn't going to jump into anything too crazy. We started off with Little Cowboy Bebop, which, if any of you have seen that, is a fantastic series. Absolutely love it. Love the jazz, love all that stuff. It was a great, great, great show. And she's like, well, did you like that? I'm like, yeah, I liked it. Good story. It was great. Yeah. She goes, well, that was anime. Ha! I'm like, well, I know it was anime, but thank you. All right, okay, well, then maybe let's watch another. She goes, okay. So I had her look for shows that weren't, that I didn't think were stupid. Something that had more of a serious plot line with maybe a little undertone of funny, some good animation. So the next thing we jumped into was a bit of Trigun. I like Trigun. That was a great one too. And then she started trying to push other ones on me, things that had a little, like, I discovered I had a limit to my animes. Things like Chibi, and just things were just happened too beyond my scope of comprehension. Just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But she started to find series that worked for me. Series that maybe had a bit more of a serious undertone, or maybe it was just based on really good animation, good story plot, things like that. And that worked. So she realized that by slowly introducing things that she could kind of bring me back into her fold where she'd like me to be without pushing me away, right? But at the same time not pushing too hard, right? Like not forcing me to watch Chibi because I would just get up and walk away, right? Or her absolute obsession with My Little Pony and I would just get up and walk away. She's still working on that. So basically it got to the point where she's like, well, you've watched this stuff, would you like to go to a convention? No. She goes, really? After all of that, you don't want to come to a convention? They're really fun. And I knew how much fun she was having at them. I'm like, no, it's not for me. Not for me. She goes, all right, fine. Well, I got this really big costume. Will you at least come and help me with it? And maybe if I can find something that interests you at the convention. Okay. Maybe, okay, maybe. So we went to Fan Expo because she knew that I like science fiction. And Fan Expo is pretty good because it's got a little bit of everything for everyone, whether you like horror, sci-fi, fantasy, anime. She wanted to go for the anime stuff. I'm like, well, there's a couple of good sci-fi panels. Malcolm McDowell happened to be one of the guests, and I really like him as an actor. I'm like, okay, I'll go. So we had fun. We did the hotel thing. We did the running around. She is a bit of a picture whore, so loves to stop and get her picture taken. She does fantastic costumes with her big and mascot-y and stuff like that. So I try to kind of move away from the pictures. I'm like, I gotta keep going, gotta keep going. But she let me do my own thing, and we'd come back and have a bit of fun. And then At the end of the con, she's like, well, did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, actually. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. She goes, would you do it again? I'm like, if it had something that interests me, maybe I might come back, right? Like, so Fan Expo was enough of that. But she's like, well, you want to come to Anime North? I'm like, no. There's nothing in it that I really like, right? I'm like, I like anime, but there's nothing there I want to see. So, but she accepted that and stepped back. She's like, okay, got you going to Fan Expo. I'm like, we got you going once. I got you going. So, my story is basically, I still don't attend them on a regular basis, but through talking about it, through slowly introducing me to the genre a little bit, through getting me involved with her big, massive velociraptor thing, getting me on stage at least once, I did have fun, but it's baby steps. Right? It's baby steps for me. I'm still getting used to this whole thing, but I do have a lot of fun here, especially because it's a small con, because I don't like gigantic cons. That's why Anime North may not work for me so well. But I have a lot of fun, get to meet great people like you guys, but it's the baby steps. So that's kind of a bit of my story. And we're going to talk more about your stories and whether you guys have somebody that you're trying to convince, or maybe you've got family members that just look at you and go, what the hell are you doing? Like, this isn't Halloween, what's going on, right? Or maybe you got friends that just like constantly are just harping on you, right? Or maybe you've got friends that are really, really interested, but they're totally scared of the convention scene. So we got about 45 minutes, so that's one thing we're going to talk about. So Arian's going to talk about a little bit of her experience too, and get that sort of into the fold, because we kind of have different experiences. So you really like these conventions, right? Yeah. See, I'm still not big on them, but I do have fun. So we're going to talk about the sort of the two perspectives, and we're going to get your perspectives. So where you're coming from, where your background is from. A nice small group, you can do that. And let's talk about, and then we'll talk about advice and tips on how to either convince somebody or try to, encourage them to attend maybe at least once or to try the genre. But we're also going to talk about the fact that there is a line. There is a border that you have to be careful not to cross or push too hard, because you may in fact actually have the opposite effect of what you want, and you may never ever have any hope of ever bringing them back into your fold. And you may push them away permanently, right? So you got to ease into it, and then we're going to talk about that. So, Ariane.
Okay. Hello. So my experiences are a little bit different. I remember my family's always been very creative and very much into costuming and into the arts, and so it's been a very rich upbringing for me that way. And my parents loved to help. I'd say, oh, guess what, I'm going to make a costume. And my mom would be all over that, pinning and sewing and things. My brother got me into it. It's funny because I was about 12 or 13. No, I was a little bit older than that. And he's like, I'm going to go to a con. I'm going to cosplay. And he was showing me pictures, and I'm like, wow, you're a weirdo.
Yes.
And anyway, so that was my first thought. You're weird. And he's like, no, seriously, it's fun, right? Why don't you do something with me? Pick a costume, we'll go together, we'll have fun. And so I was kind of apprehensive, but I'm like, okay, you know what, I'll check it out. And I found it was great. There was a great spirit, everyone was having such a great time. You got to kind of step outside yourself for a little while and walk in different shoes. And that dramatic aspect was just what drew me in right away. And then after that I was hooked. And ever since I've been getting dressed up, going to these things. Some of the challenges that I've encountered was enjoying it over the years, but as I'm getting older, there's a lot of stigmas for older people who like these sort of things, which can be very, very disheartening. And so talking to younger people, talking to friends that are my age or older, can sometimes prove a challenge. One of the things I try to suggest is, again, the genre thing, going, okay guys, I love this, but it's not all Pokemon. It's such a wide genre. There's so much involved. Costuming is a fine art. Shakespearean plays use costume, so there's ways that they connect. But also, another thing was bridging my life, my cosplay life, with my home life. When I got married, my husband now was kind of unsure. Like he's a little bit of a nerd himself, so he wasn't too apprehensive. But I did the same thing, and I'm like, come to a con with me, please. I did what Lindsay did, right? And he was sort of like, I don't know. And so the one year I'm like, please, we need this person for this role, and the skit will be great, can you do it? And so he did, right? And he went out and he got the costume and he put it together and he drove all the way for Friday night, then sat for 7 hours to be in a 3-minute skit, didn't get to participate in the con at all, didn't enjoy himself. And I felt awful. And so it's like, when you bring in your family, when you bring in your friends, you have to make sure that you're accommodating them too, and that they're not going to be forced in a situation just to appease you and make you happy. It's all give and take. Another thing too is that for family members, for instance, my dad, although he loves the costuming, doesn't understand the anime. So I'll go, okay, Dad, I'll do this with you. I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I'd love to go to a game of hockey if you'll just sit and do this with me, right? Same thing with my husband. Like, I'm not, I hate to say it, I'm not a huge Transformers fan, but he loves Transformers. I'll sit and watch Transformers, and he'll sit and watch Sailor Moon with me, right? Give and take. Finding a common ground with each other. And ever since then, right, ever since he told me, remember that time at the con that you did this was really frustrating. Can we try this again? He's actually going to come again with me this year, but we're going to share and look at all the different opportunities together. So it's just, as you mentioned, steps and finding that common ground as well. One thing that's cool is introducing kids to Digimon. I have a stepson, and he's a little shy, and he's a huge Pokemon fan. And he came to his first con a couple of years ago, and it was just, he came right out of his shell. And for children who are very shy, it's a warm and inviting place where we all want to really, really pause it for those children and just talk and communicate with them. Because then it's that generation again, right? You've got younger people, you've got older people. To bring them all together is a really great experience that we have to every single year.
You don't even have to be a kid for that too. Like, Lindsay didn't get into the cosplay universe, I'd say, until she was in university. Because she knew that she liked doing this stuff, but she loved making Halloween costumes, but she didn't realize that there was actually an outlet out there where she could dress up all the time and have fun doing it. And there were like-minded people that just like her, that wanted to get dressed up, that liked the anime, that liked the costumes. Like, for Lindsay, she likes the big mascot-style costumes, and she always felt kind of weird talking about it, and sometimes people still kind of look at her funny, but the conventions, when she went to her first Anime North, to see so many people that appreciated her work, that loved it, that would send her comments on her DeviantArt and on Facebook and cosplay.com and all the other sites that she belongs to, asking for commissions, asking for advice. Like, that's a world that she had never known before. And so it was a huge social outlet for her, because Lindsay never had a really big social outlet. I had other things going on. I belonged to sports teams. I'm a scout leader. I grew up in scouts, so I always had like things going on. I always belonged to clubs. I have a very outgoing personality. And while Lindsay can be very outgoing, it takes her a long time to get out into that, and she has to be in the right environment. And for some people, especially a lot of these people that come to these conventions, and you guys included, and all of us, like, everybody needs a different outlet to express yourself. Everybody's got a little bit. Some people are just naturally shy. But some people may be shy in presence of people they don't know or aren't comfortable with, and for other people, the conventions are a way to be comfortable. And for her, that's what happened with her. So it was a great outlet for her. So it's just kind of, you feel so much joy when you find something you like. You're like, well, how do I get other people involved with this? You just want to grab everybody you can. No, it's so much fun. And that's where the issue lies. And that's why we're here today, is talk about how can you convince other people that you're having so much fun without, like, you want them to join in with it without calling you freak, weird, you nerd, whatever they're going to call you, right? Well, just trying to explain to them that this is a lot of fun, this is my outlet, I enjoy doing it. You can join if you like, you don't have to, right? So,
come on in. There's lots of room. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How much vendor do you know?
Okay, so let's talk about some of, just sort of close the door a little bit, unless other people are going to come in. Okay, so let's talk about your experiences. So I don't know who wants to go first. You talk about whether it's a family member you're trying to convince, maybe you are the friend that's still feeling a little apprehensive about going to these things. Maybe you're, trying to convince, how you're going to tell your family, how you're going to tell your friends, maybe you got a significant other that's trying to drag you in like me. So, who wants to start? Otherwise, I'll just start pointing to me. Anybody?
Well, for me, at my school, people already know that I'm fairly geeky, but it's always, it's Western stuff, like it's Batman, and it's Superman, and it's the X-Men and stuff, and I'll wear the t-shirts, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to Comic-Con this summer, or whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, you're weird, but they get it, because it's Western stuff, and they know it, and like, the Dark Knight was such a big movement that people know the Western comics. But as soon as I say that I'm into anime, they're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Especially because we do have an anime like club that do things at my school, but they are like they're nice people, but they're kind of like people who just hang on the fringes of normal.
The outliers.
Yeah, they're outliers, and they're kind of weird, and they're the ones that hang in like the AV club, and they're kind of like more physically awkward and geeky than me, and people have this really bad like negative opinion of them. So whenever you say that you're into anime, they're like, oh, well, that's weird. And I've tried to convince some friends like that anime isn't weird. It's like Western comics, only it's Japanese.
Yeah.
But I find that it's difficult because for me, this is probably just me, but I like a lot of like magical girl animes, and then a lot of kind of more risque, kind of like Witchblade style animes. And so I'm like, I don't want to like scare them off with like, say, Witchblade, for example, or Madoka, but I also don't want them to like be like, oh, you're all childish with like the My Little Pony or like the Sailor Moon or whatever. So trying to find like a good kind of balance.
Yeah, there seem to be that there's enough animes out there that you could find that middle ground, right?
Yeah.
Because like you just said, you don't want to throw them into something like the last thing that Lindsay was going to do is, you know, show me something like totally off the wall. Like I said, for me, hate chibi. I just hate, just doesn't make any sense in my brain. I can't do it. If you're walking around like a normal character, all of a sudden you're like this feet tall and you have no limbs anymore and you're flailing, I don't understand that. It hurts my brain. I can't watch half an hour of that, never mind 5 minutes of that, right? So she knew that. I mean, she didn't know that at first because she would throw me into something like that. I'm like, wow, and then run away and never watch it for 5 months, right? But she knew that. So she's like, well, yeah, I know that you like the more realistic cartoons. So you start like that, right? You go, well, what kind of genre? Do you like sci-fi? Maybe you like westerns. See, Trigun worked for me because I love sci-fi and westerns, and it's a combination of the two. It's like Firefly. It's like the perfect combo, right? So it's a matter of finding something that actually, you know, people can grab onto and go, you know what, that was actually kind of cool. You got any more? Right? Like you gotta bait them a little bit. You can't just be like, ah, here you go, hentai. And you're like, ah! No, you can't do that.
Check the rating on it too. Like if you do a little bit of research and want to introduce something to someone, do a little bit of research and see what's out there and think, okay, so if this is PG, or if it's G, there's a lot of kitty goofy stuff that doesn't appeal to them, maybe I want to go a little bit further on.
Well, yeah, like I slowly kind of just edged my brother into anime. A lot of the animes that I watched when I was like his age, so I liked all the Studio Ghibli stuff was what I first got him into. But I feel like people, I don't know if there's like levels of geekiness, but I feel like anime is almost considered geekier than like Western comics.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think a lot of that is how TV and Western society in general is pushing that. Because it isn't, I mean, it is now, but you could say that it wasn't our culture, right? Like people, the cartoons that I watched in the 80s, some of them came from Japan, but a lot of them are American-made cartoons. Comics are very Western, like you said, like that, and that's what's being pushed in the big screen right now. People are looking at Superman, Batman, Flash, whatever, right? And that's what's popular right now, and then what kids in high school or wherever it is that you're having issues, that's what everybody adheres to the popular norm, right? And anybody who's watching something out of that becomes out of the social norm. What I find very interesting, and maybe it's been happening for a long time, but it's the first time I've kind of noticed, is that a lot of shows are coming out about the nerd, the geek. It's becoming chic. It's actually becoming very, very popular. Whether it's the style of dress, whether it's the style of what they're watching, what they're doing, you know, they're still kind of like, oh, he's a nerd, right? But they're becoming a lot more respected. And I think it's going to take a lot longer for that to happen in high school, because high school is high school. Hormones all over the place. Kids are going to be kids, right? Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what work environment you are. And it's a matter of time. Eventually, you know, being the high school jock is going to be completely out of fashion. Stupid meathead, blah, 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 blah. And watching anime is going to be cool. Like, you might see a reverse. You may never see that. Who knows, right? But I'll tell you from personal experience, just, you know what, you can't show everybody. You can't force everybody, and if you're going to have people that are just like, nerd, you just walk away, right? Like, okay, you don't like it, whatever. You like whatever, you watch whatever you want to watch. Don't let it bother you. And I think that's the problem, that when I was younger, it bothered me a lot, to the point where I totally walked away from it. I never went to another convention again, right?
It doesn't bug me. I kind of feel like, it doesn't bug me, like, people can do whatever they want, but I feel nervous to try and introduce people who I like and who like me, because they genuinely have an interest. They're like, I want to know what you like, but I don't want to scare them away from things that I like. You know, like a part of me, kind of.
And here's where introduce it to them in a comfortable place. Make I always like making a celebration or party out of it, getting a bunch of people, maybe not just one person either, but a group of people, so that awkwardness between two people will be erased.
Yeah.
And if they don't take to it, that's okay. But in the end, a friend will respect your tastes no matter what. And if they can't respect those tastes, they might not like it, but if they can't respect you as a person despite your tastes, that's not going to be a friend you probably want.
You're going to have a lot of different types of friends. Like, I would have to say that most of my friends have no interest in anime, but I have a large portion through my fiance that do like it, right? And you just, you know, okay, they talk about all these animes, I'm like, oh, I don't watch any of that. Maybe they'll mention one that I do like, so I can actually chime in a little bit, right? I mean, everybody in this room has a different level of geekiness and a different level of nerdiness, right? We all like different things, we all watch different things, so it's...
You like to say that's not our cup of tea?
Yeah.
If it's yours, that's cool.
It's the same idea. I mean, like, I would consider myself a bit of a sci-fi geek. I like Star Trek, I like Star Wars, but there's other things out there I don't like at all. My friends are obsessed with. So it's just, we don't watch it, right? Or you watch one episode and you watch an episode of something else. So anybody else have any more stories? Any more family, friends?
Problems?
Looking for advice?
Well, I guess on the same sort of note as him, I was the president of an anime club in university. And yeah, we got a lot of that sort of stigma on us there.
Yeah.
Not really anything that was ever said straight to our faces, but you knew stuff was being said about us.
It still hurts.
Yeah.
It's completely undeserved, because, like, they're really great people. Like,
Yeah.
But you know what? You're going to get that, you know, most anything, and you can't let that bother you. That's the biggest issue, when you let it bother you, and then it ruins the experience for you.
Yeah.
You might as well just keep going on, right? Because there's always going to be people that are going to put you down no matter what. No matter what you're doing, right? Like, you pick up a baseball for the first time, you can't throw it, everyone's going to make fun of you, you can't throw. Well, anything just takes practice, right? Well, and you're watching anime, it's just a matter of finding the ones that you like, and you just keep watching it, and people may not like that, may not like this, they go watch whatever they want to watch, right?
But there is a huge fan base out there. Look at this con. Look at AM, right? And so if people ever go, that's really weird. How many million people can't be wrong?
Like,
Yeah.
You may feel alone. Like, you may only have maybe 5 or 6 in your club, let's say. Like, maybe you got a really small high school club, or you got a really small university club, and you're like, well, this can't be everybody, right? And everybody makes fun of you. But then you go to something like this, and you have, like, you know, or go to Anime North, you got a couple tens of thousands of people. Well, obviously you're not alone, right? It's just a matter of you got to hang out with those people and the right venues, right? You got to realize that, okay, not everybody in high school is going to like it, but at least I have this avenue. I've got this outlet, right?
I understand. I teach in high schools, and there is a lot of animosity with certain cliquey groups. One of the things that I would love to see happen is if we could just erase those cliques and those judgments between groups. Like, you know, we have this group of jocks, and everybody labels them jocks, and then geeks, and then preppies, and then Frenchies, and you've got all these little bubbles surrounding these small communities, and everybody isolates themselves, and everybody judges each other outside these groups. We just need to erase those lines and say, hey, we're all different.
Well, I don't exactly know how we did it, but at my high school that did kind of disappear.
Really?
That's good.
Like about the point where I hit grade 10, 11, those sort of separations, that started to just vanish altogether, and we had everyone was just hanging out with everyone else. No one really minded each other too much.
And you know what? That's a social. That's a social event.
I think
essentially that's a social community event within your own school.
I'm not exactly sure how we managed that, but it just seemed to have
it's just
like
people growing up,
people
maturing.
I think one of my favorite things that I ever saw happen during high school because of that is like we had a little group of us who used to play the Yu-Gi-Oh card game when we were in high school, and we'd be in the lunchroom at a table and we'd be playing, and you'd have a couple of the younger guys just kind of walk up and start making fun of us. You know, you guys, what are you doing? You know, playing a game for kids. You know, blah blah blah. But then we have like the biggest jock in the school kind of walks up behind the guy, taps him on the shoulder, tells him to get lost, sits down, pulls out his own deck, and starts playing with us.
Street cred. That's called street cred.
But it's funny how these little strategies, like if you think about someone loves anime, and it's like they're kind of quiet about it, it's kind of hidden. Everyone has their own things they keep to themselves. You can almost even think about if you're someone who is gay and you're trying to deal with that, right? It's also, I mean, it's definitely a different level of trying to figure yourself out and explain yourself to other people, but it's still difficult nonetheless. And So the more you can find people that you're comfortable talking with, right, and the more you're willing to accept some of their interests too, and make their interests a part of your life, the easier it's probably going to get for you.
Yeah. You got to be smart about it too, right? Like if you know people are going to ostracize you about it, like okay, you may love it, but you don't have to advertise it, right? Like advertise it to the people that you know you're going to be comfortable with, that like it. But I mean, don't put yourself out there. Don't get yourself beaten up and strung up by by your underwear from the pole, right? Like if you know something's going to antagonize somebody, or someone's going to start something or make fun of you, then just don't. But I mean, at the same time, don't hide it either. Right? Like just don't need to make a big deal of it. I like anime, and just walk away, right? Like there's different ways to deal with that, right? I mean, you could be as outgoing as you want and try, but you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to convert the world, right? And that's something that everybody needs to realize. But at the same time, if you can interest people, you may actually interest a lot more people than you think you can by talking about it. Hello.
Does anyone else have any other stories or ideas or concerns they'd like to share? Anyone that's joined us a little bit later?
Yeah.
Well, my only big thing is, as you're talking about a shy kid that was here, I mean, he came out of a shell in the convention. Is that what you were saying? Yeah, the one that I bring to conventions sometimes really doesn't. He's very shy. And, I mean, he likes dressing. He'll dress up like his Frodo at home, but he will not, like, the door is his force field. He's not leaving it.
If you
Unless
can,
it's
that would be
open.
amazing.
But, I mean, you get candy, so I guess that's...
That's good incentive.
Yeah.
His own pace, right? It's all
No, I know that. I'm just trying to find ways. Like, I've seen people go their own pace before, which is good.
Yes.
Now, is
But
it the large crowds, you think? Or is it just being in public in general?
It's just being dressed up in public he really doesn't like.
Okay.
And that's... and even in the convention, he'd have a good time. Like, I went to Anime North with or not Anime North, Fan Expo with him 3 years ago? I guess. No, 2 years ago. Yeah, he was 7. Anyway, we went down to the Star Wars convention area. Like, he loves Star Wars, and they were coloring, and he will be an artist when he grows up, I mean, no doubt. But he would not go, like, color with anyone else. Like, he brought it right back to his thing, which is fine. I mean, that's his own pace. It's just, I'm wondering how I can help him get through that.
Michelle?
Yeah.
How old is he?
Currently 9.
9 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Small groups are good. House parties, again, are awesome. Like, what do they call them when they have friends over? Playdate or something like that? I don't think they still call it playdate.
They do.
10 years old. But if, he has a few chums at school that like this and propose, like, hey, let's all chill out and watch this on TV and have, like, popcorn and build a tent, and it's fun. I just did this with them. Actually, I just had a tea party with a 13-year-old boy and my husband. And we all talked in fake British accents, and they loved it. Little things like that. If you make it a little bit of a mini production, and then have them invite over some friends, small group, right? And then gradually you get them into bigger and bigger. If it steps that way, they might be more comfortable rather than going, here's your room and then here's the big busy place.
Here's a convention, yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so
Hope you
many
can swim!
people here. So if you started, small groups. And
That's the thing too. It could be an age thing too. Like for a lot of people, just don't come out of their shells in general. Whether it's just what they like to do, but maybe they're just shy in general and they just won't come out of their shell until they reach those wonderful hormonal ages where it's all of a sudden something just snaps and they're like, hey, let's go be popular.
Or they turn all badass and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't know how this is going to end up, right? So, I mean, he could go completely the opposite way and have absolutely no interest in ever drawing ever again, and even though you try to encourage him, you're going to be a great artist, it's like, whatever. But he may come back to it one day, right? So, I mean, you keep kind of prodding it, but don't push it. And it's the same thing with any of their interests when they're at that kind of age. It's like a fad of the week kind of thing. Like they want to be a hockey player one day, and then the next they want to be some crazy grand artist, and then they want to be a jazz musician the next day after that. Like you got to kind of wait for the dust to settle a little bit, and they're going to go through a lot of topsy-turvy. But shyness, I mean, he may never outgrow that. They might outgrow that, but you just like she said, little bursts. Maybe find something that really, really, really piques their interest, and maybe put them in a small group. Like there are a lot of day camps, for example. If you want to go down that artistic route, there's a lot of day camps that will teach artistic drawing and workshops and things like that. And those are usually pretty small groups. Start from there.
It's a
go
mega
out from
driver
there.
that branches into it.
Yeah, like maybe little drama clubs. Like there could be a club of like a little troop of like 5, 6 people, and they just put on little performances for a library or something. That's a nice small crowd, and then you go from there, and before you know it, poof, convention for all you know. But you could go the other way. They may never want to ever go near a convention. But you gotta really know. You gotta know your audience. You gotta know who you're playing with. You gotta figure out kind of get in their head, which is a little tricky sometimes, especially when they're about to enter the teenage years. When that's a scary place.
Oh my gosh, it's so freaking young teens or grade 7. If anyone parents had a grade 7 child to look after, it's like crazy emotions, all squiggly wiggly.
And the whole thing about what's cool, like they're trying to find themselves. It doesn't matter whether they're a young preteen or whether they're like an older teenager. They're just trying to find their place in the world. And whether that place is going to be at anime conventions, whether that place is going to be building rockets, whether that place is going to be playing, going to sports camp, playing hockey, being a referee, whatever. They need to find their niche.
You're going to find that as you get older, the people in this room you see here are going to be the leaders. The ones who run the companies are not the ones who you think are the cool ones and the sports jocks, and they don't do it. They are so used to getting their way because of they're good at sports, or they don't know how to maneuver in the world. They just don't. And people who run the companies are the ones who were the Star Trekkers and the science ones, the ones who stayed home and did their studying, who had all kinds of different kinds of hobbies. The thing that I'm always shocked at is that these guys who are at these conventions don't help each other more. Because a lot of times they think they're ostracized, but I work in human resources in a fairly large company, and you guys, I'm one of you, from a generation before, but you're going to inherit the earth. All these guys who are treating ladies and not treating you so well.
Got to get each other's back.
I just have to say X.
They're going to be reporting to you, and their kids are going to be reporting to you, and it's funny because you're the smart ones, not them.
Well, I think part of that comes from, when you're being raised, like as a child, like I got a huge mix of opportunities. I didn't have overly geeky parents, but I didn't have, overly not geeky parents either. Like my dad loved sci-fi. My mom had absolutely zero interest in it whatsoever. But my dad was also an avid outdoorsman. So I had that as an avenue too. And he insisted that even if I didn't like it, at least to try and put me into some kind of team sport. Because even if I absolutely hated it, if anything, it would teach me a little bit about teamwork. Because that is a bit of an issue, is that when you do keep to yourself because everybody hates you or everybody's making fun of you, you're going to sit in front of your computer, you're going to watch anime, you're not developing those important ground teamwork skills where you can get from a team sport or from a day camp, or even if it's a day camp that meets your theme, because there are themed day camps, right? But the idea is that you're getting out there and meeting other people, and that's very important. You want to encourage if you find a kid that really likes Naruto or Pokemon or something like that, you don't want to discourage them from watching that. But every now and then you gotta have balance. You gotta get out, go do something, go play with your friends, right? I don't have any friends. Well, I'm starting making some friends, right? How can we help you with that? Because I don't want to do that, right? But you gotta put them into something where there's more people. They're gonna get those experiences, and they're gonna make a better, well-rounded person. And like you said, they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow, and you want them to be well-rounded, because if they only keep to themselves, they're not going to be very successful, or maybe they will be very successful, but only to themselves. Right? They may not be a very good team player. So I value the experience, because I ended up absolutely loving baseball, which my dad put me into, and at first I didn't want anything to do with it. So you're going to try it. You're going to learn how to at least throw a ball. I'm like, okay. I was like 6 or 7 or something like that, and I played it for 14 years. So absolutely loved it, and I tried football, and it wasn't for me. Hated soccer, running, just wasn't for me, right? And then my dad also got me into scouts, right? Smaller groups, not big, huge team thing, but you're still working in little groups and big groups. And I went to camps where I met thousands of people, which is mind-boggling, right? And I was a pretty shy kid. But when I talked about that age thing, I did hit an age. But the year between elementary school and high school, something snapped in my brain. Whether it was just a developmental thing, who knows, right? And all of a sudden I went from this being this, what I would consider a really, really geeky little kid who always kept to himself and liked the, you know, who liked conventions but never wanted to go, etc., etc., and never really had any friends. And all of a sudden I developed this weird confidence. And I didn't care what anybody said, because I was in a new school, whole new ball game, right? There's some few people from the last school, but they were off doing their own new thing. I have a whole new slate, make new friends, right? Join clubs, doesn't matter what kind of clubs they are, just join something, get out there, learn, right? And you want to encourage that in everybody, especially if you're dealing with someone young. You want to encourage them to learn.
Yeah, painfully shy. Is there anyone here who's painfully shy? Just curious.
I was painfully shy, but I pretty much was exactly like Dave and whatnot. My teacher said, okay, to my parents, like, maybe push her a little, get her into something.
Beyond that comfort zone.
And that get her into that, and then I found my own interests, and I kept with it, but then also, like him, I changed as soon as I hit high school, and I actually went, okay, well, I'm going to try it for this, and I'm going to do this, and that, and see if I like it. If I don't, fine. I'll stay with the things I do like, but then, you know.
Yeah, let's bring that back to conventions. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, to be forced into something that you're totally uncomfortable. Like, I'm not necessarily a really shy person, but I just, you know, like for me, that's just, it was all the, for me in my brain when I first started, it was all the wrong type of people. It was just like, these are people I'm not going to like at all. You know, they're so weird, I just can't do this. I cannot do this at all, right? But by going to particular things, like I said, that first Fan X where I got to see Malcolm McDowell and everybody had a hoot and it was great. You know, I wasn't a big, you know, I didn't like stopping for all the photos.
Do I need to leave now?
But I mean, I did have a lot of fun.
For those who are still, as an adult, painfully shy, and it's really hard to step outside your bubble and maybe talk to people about it, it can potentially be very uncomfortable and difficult. Put yourself into a really different situation where, I know this sounds crazy, you don't know anybody. Cosplay is kind of handy because you've got a bit of a guise. So you can walk in as kind of a stranger. Pick a person that you kind of feel out as, you know, someone who'd be good to talk to, good to communicate with, and just sit and strike up conversation, right? If it is a place like a con, I'm getting out of the shy. I still find I walk into a room and I freeze for a second, and I search for people I know, and then I try and hone them out. But I find I'll try and look for someone who's by themselves, and then I can see, okay, there's someone who's probably feeling the same thing I felt at some point, and I'll go over and talk to them. And then you strike an interest. You get to know them. You get to know someone who's maybe dealing with similar issues and you build a relationship with someone who, well, if it's at a con, for instance, you know that there is a common ground there already. But as for like going to something that's completely out of your bubble, for instance, me going to a sporting event would be highly unlikely. But I might try that out, talk to someone, get to know a little bit more about it, and understand a little bit more about it.
And in every situation, there are always little things that you can say. To start, like at a con, you can say, "Oh, I like your costume," or "Oh, I like that character." Or at a sporting event, you can say, "Oh, what team are you rooting for?" Or whatever. I don't speak sports. I'm just saying there are usually different teams that you either like or you don't like. But there are always like little, even if you're really awkward, there are little things that you can say that, like, say you see someone cosplaying a character that you really like, you can just say, "Oh, I like the character and I like the costume. How did you make it?" or whatever. And people are very happy to talk about themselves, usually.
As long as you don't take yourself too seriously, right? Yeah. Like, there's people who are, like, really serious about anime and really serious about their cosplay, and you're just like, stuck whatever up your bum. What the hell's going on with you, right? And don't hang out with those people, right? Hang out with people more like you. Maybe you are the type of person with something stuck up your bum. Then I want to go hang out with those people, right? You're cosplayers.
Hey!
Only the cosplayers, not the yay cosplayers. Okay. Right? That's the thing, is you gotta sort of figure out where you stand too, right? Before you start looking elsewhere.
Is there anyone else that hasn't shared anything, that hasn't said anything, that would like to share something, say something?
Or any questions?
I see something.
Or maybe we can
quiet,
advice.
I'm tempted to go psst, psst, psst. Say something. Anybody listen? Anybody back there?
Stealing her hive.
I just one other suggestion. If someone's really shy, volunteer at these things.
Volunteering is awesome. It's extending yourself. I love volunteering. I love volunteering.
Is it because the staff's in here that you're saying? No.
No, I just generally love volunteering. I've volunteered all sorts of different things that Dave mentioned. He's like Boy Scouts, I'm with Girl Guides Canada. I work for the parties, I do all sorts of stuff. But it's the ability to extend yourself to other people, specifically other people you don't know, that you just learn so much. And it really is.
You make friends.
It's enlightening. You make friends. You
like I said,
connections.
I'm not a convention goer. I don't like. I've been to a couple. This is Lindsay, by the way. Drag me out to things. I'm still trying. Maybe one day for anime. But the point is, I will not classify myself as a convention goer. Yet, I'm obviously sitting in front of you at a panel at a convention, which Lindsay never thought would happen probably 10 years ago.
Nope.
So here I am, and I'm having fun. I'm meeting great people like all you guys, and I'm running around but what's really doing it for me is I'm volunteering here because maybe I have a particular skill that other people don't. I happen to be a medic. I'm a paramedic. I absolutely love this. I love helping people. It's just part of my personality. But for me, I get to see all these awesome costumes and all the workmanship. I get to meet people that I otherwise wouldn't get a chance to meet, and maybe in a different way, in a different light. I get to talk to people who maybe on the street I would never approach, right? Like, I'll honestly say 15 years ago, if I saw somebody walking by dressed as a Goomba, I would run the other way, right? Maybe. Maybe. I might still run the other way. I do work in Toronto. There are some very unusual people who are not cosplaying, but dressed very strangely. I tend to avoid those people. But the point is, I have no fear about walking up to them and talking to them and going, hey, where are you going? Oh, you having fun there? Or you're not going to be friends with everybody. You can be friendly.
5 minutes to wrap up warning.
Thank you. But I'm having a great time here. This is a fantastic convention. I will continue to go and continue to participate in this convention. I love volunteering, and if you have friends or family that are kind of on the side of whether maybe suggesting volunteering, like. If in my case, I like doing the first aid. Maybe you have a friend that likes to do first aid. Hey, you want to volunteer in first aid at FedEx or something like that. Or maybe you have a friend that's aspiring to be security or something like that. Hey, you want to really block some crowds, or you want to get you want to see something like that, or maybe they're really good. Maybe they're really good with like registration stuff. They want to get into administrative work. Well, I've got a good reg job for you, right? So it's like anything, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily even have to be conventions. It could just be other workshops and stuff.
Find the fits. And if they're still like,
don't push, because like I said, you could end up losing that person and working for it forever. But slowly, little baby steps, and you know what? If they're just not interested, like you said, we're talking to people at high school or whatever, and they just don't care. They don't care. Don't waste any time, because you'll only stress yourself out. You'll depress yourself. You'll upset yourself. Just move on, because as you can see, there are hundreds of other people that obviously share your interests. So don't bother wasting your time with people that don't.
Any questions that have not been answered?
Are people feeling like they're walking away, feel a little bit better about certain things? Is there anybody that's still kind of like not quite sure their issues have been solved?
You can approach us on the side of this room if you have questions after we come see us and just ask us. So, for instance, we maybe didn't get to their question because they're feeling a little nervous bringing it up in front of the crowd. If you want to approach us and say, I have this issue, we're pleased to help. Try and do there for you.
We hope that you're sort of walking away a little bit more confident about the idea of this panel here.
A good feeling, like having a big slice of pie.
You're not alone. And there are people like me who can be slowly turned, potentially.
That was pretty much me. I didn't even know this kind of stuff till I met Devin. And then he's like, well, I'll slowly show you some stuff. And then we can go to Anime North if you want. Like, we'll try that. And then now, look at me. I'm like volunteering and I watch all this stuff and I love it now. But he pretty much didn't push me. He's like, we'll try it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it.
All you can do is, now that I'm at a convention, try to get sailing and stuff.
Yay!
Want to come to my 1812 things? See, that's the thing that bothered the most. I like to dress up. I do like to dress up. But in period costumes. I happen to be a reenactor I do a scout reenactment at Fort George every year.
But he doesn't want to cosplay.
But I don't want to cosplay. So go figure, right? You're going to run into it like, I don't understand. Like you said, you have that friend like
it's the same thing.
Right? He doesn't want to go to convention. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the same.
But he's 9.
And then sneakily tell him that it's like a third year.
Exactly.
It's like Halloween weekend. That's awesome.
I mean, there's thousands of people like me that dress up for the War of 1812, but I don't want to dress up for conventions. Go figure. You're going to run into people like me, okay? It's just going to happen. You're never going to be able to force me to walk around like a costume. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen, right? Even my favorite animes, you know? Like, I'm not going to dress up as a cowboy or as Spike. Just not going to do it. But you know what? I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to enjoy it. I'm still going to love people that are dressed up as Spike, right? Or Vosh or anything like that. I'm going to laugh at it. I'm going to see it on the masquerade. Have a great time. But I'm comfortable with not doing that, and Lindsay's comfortable with not pushing me, having a good time, right? You got to find that line.
Don't be ashamed of what you love.
Yeah.
Stand up for your thoughts.
And don't dress up as a goon, or I might jump on you.
I fight cosplay.
What was your costume like yesterday?
I was the sorceress yesterday, and there's my love, old.
From He-Man.
It's He-Man.
If you don't know it, go watch it. But not if you're not comfortable watching it.
Yeah. But it's just my vibe today. And so actually there's a fun thing too, if you bring friends and they're like, I don't really want to dress up, and I do. What's that jingle where they have little ears and tail, or just a discreet part, a little part of the costume, just to kind of like go, hey, check this out.
Little ears, little tail. I won't wear little ears,
There's
little
like
tail.
color. Something just, and it's like that gateway to get them into. That sounds really bad, actually. It's just something that.
And don't force your friend to dress up if he wants to come to the convention for the first time he doesn't feel like it. Come wearing normal clothes, and then you'll be just like me at the convention and go, wow, I'm the weirdo, because I'm the only one not wearing it.
That was me first year Anime North, and like, I feel so out of place right now. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to dress up next year.
I was gonna say my sister just came because she wasn't well, like on vacation, and she walked in like her normal clothes. She's like, I feel really out of place here. And I told her she should. But also, your gateway drugs right here. This is your gateway.
Yeah.
Just you said you want no bells or anything. You got the.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Thanks, guys, for being here. Appreciate